Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Chill Town Hoops. I'm your host, Jermaine. The youngsters call me OG. My friends call me J-Dub. Let's get to it. What's going on, guys? Game 6 tonight. Trey's going to go. All righty. Slime, what up, brother? Trey's going to go. So, which is not something that I didn't expect. If he could go in the last game, of course he's going to go. So, what's going on, guys? How y'all doing tonight? Running good? Running good. PG-13. Logan, what's up, brother? Hamilton, what's up, my man? Ricardo, how you doing? D-Mac, what's up, brother? Logan, what's up, my man? Business as usual, absolutely. Ed, what's up, my man? Michael Jordan is the most overrated player in basketball history. You have to explain yourself on that one, Mr. Oliver. A healthy Bucks team and a healthy Suns team, I think the Bucks win the NBA championship. What's going on, guys? Mr. Oliver, you got to explain yourself, man. I'm not talking to nobody else right now. Michael Jordan is the most overrated basketball player in the NBA, in NBA history. So, Tim Kenner, what's up, brother? You got to explain yourself, Mr. Oliver. Tim Kenner, that's my man. I ain't seen or heard from Tim in years. Man, I'm trying to get with Tim. Tim, get with me on the TikTok, man. For real, get with me on the TikTok. I'm trying to get with you. Or shoot me a message here too, man, so I can get with you. I ain't seen Tim in forever. Tim Kenner. Hang on for a second. I want to get with Mr. Oliver because he's starting this conversation. We starting with Mr. Oliver. It's a known fact that expansion teams rarely ever have winning seasons their first few years, as the talent tarnishes due to teams having to fill a roster with brand new players. Right before and during, including the Orlando Magic. Okay, keep going. Jordan won 6 championships between 91 and 98. 6 teams were added to the league. Much like Kobe, Jordan was a ball hog, taking as many as 30 shots. It's a team sport, which explains why he got swept out the first round 3 years. Jordan wasn't a horrible playmaker, although he was often selfish with the ball. He did average about 5 assists for his career. Still, his playmaking ability left much to be desired, as his strategy was often to use his scoring to lead his team victory rather than to pass the ball to teammates in order to create difficult shots. You still got them pictures, Tim? Like I just said, hey, Tim, listen, man, get with me on the TikTok and or message me at my handle here, because I'm definitely trying to get with you. Michael Jordan lost to the Detroit Pistons 3 straight times in the playoffs between 87, actually it was 88. Never made it to the finals in the era of Showtime Lakers or in Irvin 76ers. Doc was washed when Jordan showed up. He was on his way out. But anyway, I'm listening to you. Teams were much better and much deeper than they were in the 90s, mostly due to the fact that the 90s were loaded with mediocre expansion teams, as previously mentioned. There were 6 teams that did not make it past 20 wins in 98. That means 20% of the NBA lost more than 60 games. Okay. So this is a kid making this up. I'm definitely getting with my man Tim Ketter. Oh man, I'm trying to figure out how to get with my man Tim because I ain't seen Tim in forever. No, Oliver isn't weird. Oliver's trying to. I think he's trying to make a point. I think that what he read instead of his own logic, he got sucked into that, and now he believes that instead of thinking for himself. So I'd like to hear from you, Oliver. What is your logic? Not today, Maxwell. I'm almost 50 years old. Well, I'm not quite. I'm not quite 50. I'm still a little bit behind now. I still got a little over a year and a half. Well, so you say T-Mac is underrated. What position does T-Mac play? Mike, so you're asking me if I have any kind of response to that, so basically what you're saying is that the league was watered down and he benefited in the league being watered down. That's what you're saying. Because well, actually, you're not saying that. You pasted that. You didn't write that. That's what it sounds like. That he's not a top 5 player all time, horribly overrated with his Mickey Mouse playoff runs. Mickey Mouse. Wow. Can I take you serious with Mickey Mouse playoff runs? He's got the most playoff wins all time against 60-win teams. No player in the history of the NBA can say they beat more 60-win teams than him. In the playoffs, including the finals. There's no team in the history of the NBA that can say, there's no player in the history of the NBA that can say he beat more 60-win teams than Jordan. That includes James. That includes Jabbar, which is in my top 3. That's first of all. For you to say that, wait a minute. For you to say that it was Mickey Mouse. I mean, he averaged almost 34 games for his career in the playoffs. Just in the playoffs alone. No, I didn't read what you wrote because I don't think you wrote that. I don't. I think that was pasted, to be quite honest with you. I don't think you wrote that. In 1998, there was because there was an expansion. What happened to the other teams, though, that he had to go through? Because he did what he was supposed to do against those expansion teams. Those expansion teams didn't go to the finals. Those expansion teams weren't in the playoffs. He did what he was supposed to do against those guys. So it's not like it's a situation where he lost to those guys. He did what he was supposed to do against Toronto and Vancouver. I mean, he lost to Orlando in 95 after coming back from being out for 8 months. Came back the next season and swept that Orlando Magic team. Swept them right out the playoffs. Is that not the way you deal with people? How does it decrease? I don't understand how it decreases the competition in the 90s because you're an expansion team. But if you're good and you're competing, just so you know, Orlando was an expansion team. They were in the NBA Finals in 95. Was that Mickey Mouse? Yeah, I like this. I like how we getting this started. What's up, man? I'm doing good, B. I think Steph Curry is a top 20 player all time. I do think that. Now, where did we leave off? This is good stuff. Desiree, Larry Bird said in 1987, Magic is just a great player. He's the best that I've ever seen. I don't know what else to say, end quote. So that should tell you right there how good Magic was. Steph is borderline top 5? Dime bound? You think Steph is a top 5 player, top 6 player right now? Wow, that's interesting. Wasting your precarious time talking to strangers. Well, let's get into it, Mike. I mean, if you came in here to talk basketball, let's talk basketball. Insulting me, that doesn't work. If you came in here to talk basketball, let's talk basketball. If you feel better insulting me, that's not going to work here. Nah, we're not doing that. But if you want to talk basketball, let's talk basketball. Good, Palmer. Running good, my man. But I do have something to rebut. You just said that the league was watered down. He beat the teams that he should have beaten. Michael Jordan beat the teams that he should have beaten. And he thrived against the better teams. Those teams, those expansion teams, they weren't, I think Orlando was the only playoff team that went deep into the playoffs. Everybody else, he dealt with them. And then when he got to Orlando, when he had a full season, swept them right out of the playoffs. He didn't beat them, he swept them out of the playoffs. So the notion that because it was watered down, that doesn't hold any weight because he dealt with them the way he should have dealt with them. Logan, what's up, brother? Zach, what's up, brother? I got Tim Duncan over Hakeem strictly because Tim Duncan had a better overall defensive run on the defensive side of the ball. I think Olajuwon was a better offensive player. I think Timmy was a better overall player than Olajuwon. I'm done. I'm done with it. I understand what you said, my man. I think all rings have equal value, man. I'm not a fan of that, asterisk nonsense. That's not the way I get down. I don't. I do not get down like that. So, all right, Mike, we done with you. You can go. When you say overrated and bum ass, that means you don't know anything about basketball, and you could go. And let me get my moderators in here so we can get him up out of here. Where you at? And no, I don't know you right, sir. You don't know what you're talking about. So let me get my moderators and get this dude up out of here. When you call him Michael Jordan overrated and bum, you got to go because you don't know what you're talking about. No, it's not no response. You don't know what you're talking about. So you got to go. Goodbye. I thought you actually knew basketball. I was actually trying to have a conversation with you. But when you say stuff like that, you got to go. So beat it. KD. That's a good one. I think KD is a top. I think KD could be I don't think KD is a top 10 player yet. I don't think he's a top 20. I think he's close to a top 20 player. But he's not there yet. Josh, the hardest championship run, in my opinion, was Olajuwon in '95. He had to go through Malone. He had to go through Barkley. He had to go through the league MVP and David Robinson. And then he had to deal with Shaq. And he had no All-Stars and no All-League performers. No All-NBA performers. None of them. What are my thoughts on Ja Morant? Ja Morant is dynamic, man. I think Ja Morant I think he's the future of the NBA. I think that Memphis team, they're going to build it around him. And he's dynamic. He's got a really good mid-range game. His decision-making can get better, and I think it will as he progresses. And I'd like to see him become a better passer. His athletic ability is unmatched. No doubt about it. You want me to talk about Luke Kennard from Duke, the left-handed marksman. He knocks down the open jump shot, and I think he's a great glue guy. for any team. I had a tough time with Iggy's Finals MVP, but I heard some really good arguments that like holding James under 40% when he was covering him and almost averaging 20 a game, even though I thought Steph offensively had a better performance. I did hear some compelling arguments. Thanks, Christopher. Appreciate you, brother. Magic is the better point guard than Steph Curry. And I'd like to get to the bottom of this right now because we've actually haven't had an opportunity to discuss this. So I'd like to get to the bottom of this right now. Just so you guys know, Magic was nice from day one. Steph Curry was an all-NBA performer in year 5. Isaiah Thomas was an all-NBA performer in year 2. Stockton was an all-NBA performer in year 3. Magic was first team all-NBA in year 3. Steph Curry didn't make the all-NBA team until year 5. Steph Curry never averaged double-figure assists for his career. He averaged 7 assists or more twice. He's been in the league since 2009. We're in year 12. So, Kaz, what's up, brother? What about the 2011 Mavs? They beat OKC, Portland, and the defending champ Lakers, and Miami. That was a really good run. In my opinion, I think the 95 run was better. That's just my opinion. And like I said, in my opinion, the 95 run for Olajuwon was better because he had to go through Malone, he had to go through Barkley, he had to go through the league MVP and David Robinson, and then he had to go through Shaq. And he did that with no All-Stars and no All-NBA performers. Running good, Carl. How you doing, man? I think the 2019 Raptors had some things go their way, which you need, very much like what's going on now, where the Phoenix Suns are benefiting from Chris Paul staying healthy. Not only Chris Paul staying healthy, but other teams going down. Like, it's incredible how different, right? It's incredible how different the landscape of the playoffs would look without injuries. Are we talking about Phoenix the way we're talking about them if Anthony Davis doesn't get injured? Are we talking about Milwaukee the way we talking about them if James Harden and Kyrie don't go down? I'm going to get to Skip Bayless in a minute, Optic. Are we talking about these guys? And when I say different, I mean Chris Paul his contract is up at the end of this season. The Phoenix Suns would have a decision to make. If they lose in the first round, now they got a decision to make after being a number 2 seed. Man, excuse me. Spiritual dub. I like Lou Dort. Ain't that the kid in Oklahoma City? Who was a better defender? Jordan. Well, the numbers prove Jordan was a better defender than LeBron. I think LeBron was just as good a defender. Yeah, Lou Dort. I'm loving Lou Dort. He's a great glue guy. He's looking like he's going to be more of a Marcus Smart kind of guy where we need him. He is necessary. He can knock down the open shot. He looks like a lockdown defender that causes a lot of trouble for people. Yes, sir. Kobe over KD. And Tony Allen, Kobe Bryant said Tony Allen was the toughest guy he ever went against. So that's all I needed to hear about him. But Kobe is a better overall player than Kevin Durant because he was elite. Kobe Bryant was elite on both sides of the ball. Kevin Durant is not elite on both sides of the ball. He is not. Looks like we're live. I think AD is going to be a top 10 power forward all time. I do believe that. Tatum snubbed on the All-NBA team. I discussed that in one of my videos. 26-7, and he made the All-NBA team last year, and he had a better season this year. I had a real problem with that. That didn't make much sense to me at all. Justin, I think that R.J. Barrett is the future of the Knicks. You have to demand that he gets better, and I think he will because he's come back the 2 seasons that he's been in New York. He's come back better every year, and I expect him to be better next season too. Absolutely, I do. No question about it. I'm a fan of analytics. I'm more of a fan because the numbers don't lie. So you need analytics, but I'm definitely more of a fan of the eye test. No doubt about that. I don't think PJ Tucker is underappreciated. I think PJ Tucker is appreciated as much as he needs to be. He's a glue guy. He's in the same place with, in terms of him being a glue guy, he's in the same place with, nice shot. He's in the same place with the Udonis Haslams of the world, Marcus Smart, guys like that. No doubt. Jabbar's the best 5-man in my opinion. Bronny James follows me? Does he really? No way. Absolutely not. I don't have a favorite team, Drew, because, like I said, these guys move around so much, so it's hard to follow one team. So I'm more of a fan of the players. My top 5 role players of all time, in no particular order: Ho Grant, Draymond Green, Dennis Rodman, Udonis Haslem, and Manu Ginobili. Wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Thank you. Geraldo Walsh, in your estimation, why is Curry better than Magic? You have the floor, sir. I'm gonna get to the rest of you guys. I promise you that. We're gonna be here for a while. So I'm gonna talk to Geraldo real quick. Why is Curry better than Magic? I'm gonna get to Luka. Don't worry. The score is 11-4, Elijah. We just got started. No problem, Logan. That's who. I don't think you're winning without those guys. Manuel, what's up, brother? I'm running good. How you doing? Who is the best player never to win league MVP? That's a good question. But hold on. Let me get with Geraldo for a second. Curry is better than Magic because he spaces better. He's a better scorer. He's better offensively in its entirety. So that means that he's a better playmaker than Magic. He's a better passer than Magic. He's better in transition with the ball than Magic. That's your logic. All right. I don't agree with that because everything that Magic has done is of the contrary. In the 86-87 season, when Magic became one of the primary, he averaged 23 and 13, I think it was. 22 and 13. And Magic is dynamic with the basketball. He's quite possibly the best playmaker that I've ever seen. No question about it. He doesn't shoot the 3-ball like Steph Curry, but he's a shot creator, not just for himself, but for others. One of the best that I've ever seen. The best passer that I've ever seen. He's a solid defender. Transition to playmaking. What's that compared to being able to score the ball overall? Well, Once again, we're talking about scoring. Now, Magic isn't a scorer in the traditional sense because Magic is a point guard. That wasn't his job. You're going off, and I can appreciate this. I can appreciate this banner. And the reason why is because you're going off what you see today. You're raised on Steph Curry. And that's the point guard, the point guard that you're used to seeing. I was raised around a traditional point guard where the offense was run through the big man. Now, the game has evolved. And as the game evolved, guys did get better. Magic did get better. Even though the offense was run through the big man, he could score with the best of them. He could pass. He was the best passer. He was the best playmaker. He was the best floor leader. He was the one who got his troops and kept his troops together. Let's make sure we're clear. Steph Curry isn't the primary ball handler on that group. It's Draymond Green. And it's always been Draymond Green. Even when Steph was there years before. That's interesting, man, that he does. That's dope. That's very interesting. Well, again, guys, we have to make sure that you understand where I'm coming from with Steph Curry in terms of him being a point guard. I was raised under the traditional point guard. So when I see guys like Steph Curry and I see guys like Allen Iverson, and I think I've mentioned this before, you know, when you come into the cafeteria, those dudes are sitting at their own table, him and Allen Iverson. And don't attempt to go sit over there because you don't have what they have. You can't sit at that table because you don't have that. They're in a different class, Steph Curry and Allen Iverson. Steph Curry isn't the traditional point guard, but he's not the traditional player. His game evolved. Now, does that mean he's better at what he does than Magic at what he does? No, I don't think so. I think I wouldn't be surprised if Milwaukee ended this thing tonight. That wouldn't surprise me one bit. My opinion on Tatum is I think Tatum's going to be a top 10 player. He'll be a top 5 player at some point, and he'll be in the MVP discussion at some point. My job is talking to you guys. This is what I'm doing. I make TikToks. I talk basketball. I get in here and I talk basketball with you guys, and I'm gonna see where this thing takes me. Nick, LeBron James is the most complete basketball player that I've ever seen. And I grew up watching Doc, George Gervin, Michael Jordan. LeBron James is the most complete basketball player that I have ever seen. I'm not married, Elijah, but there is a woman. Yes, there is. Man, I heard that. I've had that question before. Do the Pistons create a dynasty? Well, they were already a dynasty. Don't forget, man, in 03, from 03 to 08, they were in the East Finals 5 times. They were in the NBA Finals twice and won it once. So this isn't a team that was just okay because they didn't draft Melo. And I'm actually happy that they didn't because Larry Brown wasn't a fan of rookies, and I think he would have screwed Melo up. I do. What's up, Andrew? Who is my top 5? James, Jordan, Jabbar, Wilt, Russell. Rather than a true point guard. Where do I rank Steph Curry? I think Steph Curry's a top 20 player because he's in a different space, man. He's in that. We're talking about a dude with 3 NBA championships, 2 league MVPs, and he's positionless. You know, who we talking about like that today? Who's doing that today? I don't know who's doing that today. I'm thinking about all-time great players. And That's why I say when you come into the cafeteria, Steph and Allen Iverson, they sitting at their own table. I'm in my late 40s, Drew. Well, I actually thought that last season when the Lakers won the NBA championship, I thought that was it. But in order for James to win more, that team has to be constructed not for him to do everything. Because James is getting a little long in the tooth, and we need to preserve him. And if you don't, and you have him where he's doing all the work still, you're going to run him into the ground. Peter Rivera, link with LeBron. What do you mean link with LeBron, Peter? James Harden is a better all-around player than Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson is more impactful, and he was better for the culture, but James Harden is a better all-around player than Allen Iverson. Well, gang, I try to understand the argument from each end, but at some point you got to pick somebody. Man, you can't sit on the fence with everything. You have to pick somebody. Anthony Mason was a better player than Dale Davis. He was better offensively than Dale Davis. Absolutely. Anthony Mason made the All-Star team. I just think he was more complete than Jordan. I think that everything Jordan does, James does it. He's just bigger. I think Jordan was a better scorer overall, but everything else, I feel like James did it just as good, if not better. Everything. Best under 25 in the league right now. Tatum, Book, Mitchell, Luka, Zion. Trey's right outside of that. Magic is the best passer that I've ever seen. I got Tim Duncan ahead of Hakeem Olajuwon. Amon, what's up, brother? Drew, that's a fact. When I think that's a very good point. And you don't know that they could fall off a cliff, they could get injured, they could be a what if, and we don't want to do that. No, we don't. My thoughts on Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving is dynamic. He's an enigma though. Because he's Irv is like nothing that we've seen, both on and off the court. I'm sorry for 1 second. And where were we? I wouldn't be surprised if Milwaukee ended this thing tonight. Wouldn't surprise me one bit, sir. What do I do in my free time? I work out. I hang with my chick. I don't really do much. I cook. My thoughts on Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard he's been such a force in the league for such a long time. And you guys are going to run him out of Portland. I do believe that. You're going to demand that he get an opportunity to win an NBA championship. If the Trailblazers got the end of this summer to put something around him. Otherwise, you guys are going to run him out of there. No doubt. Sir, no, I'm not retired. I'm pursuing a career in social media or being an analyst in basketball. This is what I'm trying to do for you guys. Jermaine O'Neal was awesome, man. Yeah, Jermaine O'Neal was great. I thought that they were going to win the NBA championship in 2004 before the Malice in the Palace. Dame Lillard in his prime. And I won't say that sideways either. Dame Lillard in his prime. Even though Gilbert Arenas was nice. No problem, Harmon. I'm glad I could help you, my man. Keep up the studying. I've gotten that question before. The greatest NBA draft, that 84 draft, that 96 draft, or that 03 draft. Well, the 84 draft, a lot of those guys who came in were great right from the beginning. Jordan was awesome right from the beginning. Jordan was awesome from the beginning. Olajuwon was awesome from the beginning. Barkley was awesome from the beginning. Stockton. It took Stockton about like 2 years because he was all NBA at this third year. He was all NBA. So those other guys, they weren't great right from the beginning. I mean, Iverson was awesome. Steve Nash, it took him some time to get acclimated to what was going on. Kobe Bryant had to sit behind some people before he got going. That 03 draft, those guys came in like gangbusters. James was nice from the beginning. Melo was nice from the beginning. Wade was nice from the beginning. Bosh was nice from the beginning. No, I don't have any. Who does Tatum remind me of? A lesser version of Tracy McGrady. A less athletic version of Tracy McGrady. Elliot, I'm ducking you. What's your question, my man? What do we have here from Elliot? Elliot's telling me that I'm ducking him. What you got, Elliot? Gerald, I was in Ireland because I was playing basketball over there. I was playing in the IBL. You got Wilt. Wilt is better than Jabbar. He a better rebounder, scorer, playmaker, defender. He also had great efficiency. Almost the only thing Jabbar has over Wilt is longevity. Thoughts, OG? Well, that's huge. That is absolutely huge. If I do the same thing you do, only except I do it longer, that makes me better than you. And Jabbar was better in the playoffs than Wilt. And I love Wilt. The Wilt's numbers are cartoonish. Wilt is up there. I think Wilt. Let me see. Let me make sure I got this correct. Wilt and Jabbar are the only two guys to average 30 and 15 on average. Nobody has done that in the history of the NBA for as long as they've done it. Jabbar did it for 8 straight years. Wilt did it for the duration of his career. But with that being said, Jabbar was better in the playoffs than Wilt. They didn't count block shots back then, but the only reason why Jabbar isn't higher on the list for a lot of people because he changed his name. If he was Lou Alcindor, we wouldn't be having this discussion. That was a big deal. That's why people look at him as sideways like they do. Absolutely. And not only that, I mean, Jabbar had one shot. Stop this and you stop me. He played 20 years. Ray Banks, you got the prediction for the Lakers. I got to see how they put that team together first. Because they can't put that team together where James has to do everything. It's not going to work. Wilt played with a broke hand in 72 and still won an MVP. Yeah, and Jabbar at age 38 won the Finals MVP. Chamberlain won the round at age 38. Jabbar won the MVP Finals. He won the Finals MVP at age 38. Joker or Dame. You saw what just happened in the playoffs. Joker, they outplayed Portland. And Dame had a dynamic game. He didn't have a dynamic series. He had a dynamic game. But they outplayed Portland. And that was largely due to Joker. Nate Bott, I already talked about Ja. What do I think caused the 2011 collapse? Well, they were new. You can't just put a group together and just expect it to work immediately. They still had to get acclimated to each other. And James still wasn't sure. What happened there? That's a foul. James still wasn't sure what his role was on that team until he got with Dwayne Wade in the summer, where Dwayne told him, "You got to be the guy." Now James realizes that, okay, it's okay for me to do this. And you saw what happened after that. Who would be a better modern day Luka, Dirk, Harden, or Hakeem? Well, Dirk wasn't. I don't think Dirk was as good as Luka with the ball. Dirk was very much a dribble and go guy. Luka is a lot more dynamic with the ball. Hakeem was better on the block with the ball. He wasn't great as Luka 20 feet away from the basket. Can you recite who the best defender was, LeBron or? I thought I talked about that already. Conrad, what's up, brother? I thought I talked about that already. Dennis was my favorite defender to watch over Draymond, because Dennis was, as much as I didn't appreciate how he was, even though that was the way the game was being played, Dennis was absolutely what you needed. He's the guy that you were like, yo, we need him. Penny Hardaway. Well, I mean, I mentioned this in the past, and I can't say it enough, that there is no Shaq and Kobe if Shaq stays in there's no Shaq and Kobe in Los Angeles if Shaq stays in Orlando, because that's Shaq and Kobe. They were on their way to doing that. Penny Hardaway was two-time All-NBA before Shaq left him. They were on their way to being Shaq and Kobe and running the league. They were absolutely on their way to doing that. Woo Mixtapes, what's up, brother? Hey, Woo Mixtapes, let me ask you a question. Who's your favorite Woo member? Nice job, bro. Who'd be a better modern day duo? Today's D Rose and Ewing, or Shea Gill and Kemp would be awesome. Are you kidding me? Wow. Because Shea is bigger. I think Derrick Rose is a better athlete, but I think Shea is a better playmaker than Derrick Rose. Even though Derrick Rose is a dynamic playmaker, with him and Sean Kemp, Derrick is a better transition player. Well, wait a minute. Hold on. I'm going to have to backtrack that, because Ewing wasn't the transition player that Sean Kemp was. So I think Derrick would actually be better with Kemp, and Shea would be better with Ewing. Nice job, yo. Thanks, Will. Will stepped in to the playoffs. Hold on. Wilt stepped in the playoffs at age 35. He went from averaging 14 in the regular season and 20 in the finals. He was a big-time playoff performer. Absolutely, he was. Absolutely, he was. I'm not fighting that. I will not fight that. Wilt was a big-time playoff performer. So was Jabbar. Like I just told you, of all the playoff performances Jabbar has ever had, of all of them, like I told you, he was 38 years old and won Finals MVP. He was the oldest player in the league, and they said he was washed. They said he was washed, and he wasn't. Oh, so you don't even know it's just your last name. My thoughts on Colin Sexton. Best six man of all times. Now, when you say six man, School, you mean six man as a player or six man who was best for what that unit was doing? Because Manu was the best for what that unit was doing. Jay Crossover was the better player. Oh, crack it. Jay Crossover was the better player. But Manu was better for what San Antonio was doing. That's why he was an all-star. That's why he was a 4-time NBA champion. Who's my favorite random NBA player? So random would be somebody that just is out the blue, like, man, you like him, really? Good shot. That's a good question. Yeah, Alex, I didn't know that. That's really interesting. If Bronny James follows me. Thanks, Bronny. My man. I hope I'm giving you what you're looking for. Drew, what's up, brother? Hey, I don't know, man. This Jalen Green kid, he looks like he's the real deal. He looks like he might be somebody that you can build it around. Even though I'm hearing a lot of people talk about Cade Cunningham being the next coming of Grant Hill, which says a lot because Grant Hill he's the biggest what if for me because I saw what he was becoming. Where do the 76ers go from here? They go back to the drawing board. To be honest with you, I don't really see a lot. Like I heard somebody tell me that we'll move Ben Simmons for Malcolm Brogdon because now you have a guy that can knock down the mid range, and you got a smarter player. I'm not really feeling that because I'm losing playmaking and I'm losing defense. Kareem was not doing what was in their best season. Will average 16 more. Well, we don't know if he was the greatest rim protector ever because they didn't count blocks back then. And I do know that there was a game where Wilt had a bunch of blocks, but I mean, don't forget, they didn't count blocks for Jabbar 4 years in. And with that being said, we all know Wilt scored more. We all know that. And we all know he rebounded more. We do know that. That's not news. However, Jabbar did it. Jabbar didn't do it at the rate that Wilt did. So if that's your logic, that Jabbar did it, if that Wilt did it better, I'll buy that. Because you can't go wrong with either of them. That's like asking me to pick between Jordan and LeBron. We talking about Kareem and Wilt. We ain't talking about Kareem and Shaq. We ain't talking about Wilt and Mutombo. We talking about Jabbar and Wilt. My favorite player to watch ever was Jordan. I do not have an Instagram, sir. I do have a daughter. She's grown. Well, KO, I'll tell you what, and I can appreciate the Marcus Smart being a defensive player of the year candidate. I think moving him, you're not going to lose that much defense when you move, because Jaylen Brown, I think he's going to be an all-league defender. And I think losing him, you could get a third scorer if you move Marcus Smart. Now, Marcus Smart is so important and so crucial to what the Celtics are doing because he does a lot of things. But if you can get a third scorer in there, Jaylen Brown can make up for what Marcus Smart does defensively, I think. All of them who got hurt. That's who I think are the most disappointing players in this year's playoffs. All of them who got hurt. Giannis, James Harden, Kyrie, All of them who got hurt. Shaq is not better than Kareem. No, he is not. No, he is not. Shaq is not better than Wilt. Shaq is not better than Bill Russell. No. I'm watching the game, and this is a really good game. Yes, sir. I just want, when you guys talk about Shaq and you guys talk about Wilt, just remember, Shaq never led the league in rebounding, not one time. In the 19 years he played in the NBA, led the league in rebounding 0 times. Shaq led the league in rebounding, not rebounding, I'm sorry. Shaq led the league in blocks 0 times. This is your job as the 5-man. Never once did this dude lead the league in rebounding, lead the league in blocks. He was an all-league defender in 19 years, 3 times. Shoot the ball. I just did. I think Shaq was a better offensive player than Bill Russell. I don't think he was a better overall player than Bill Russell. Would Prime Cousins eat up Embiid? I don't think so. I think that would be a great battle between Prime Cousins and Embiid because they both play on the block and they both play on the perimeter too. Who was Shaq's comp? You asking me who's Russell comp was? He had to deal with Wilt. Who was Shaq's comp? Ben Simmons isn't even a good playmaker. If you watch Philly games, you would notice that every pass he does is normal. I mean, the last game that they played when they lost, he did have 13 assists in that game. That's not just normal. Ricardo, I'm vegan, so I eat a lot of rice. I eat a lot of pasta. I eat a lot of vegetables, stuff like that. Who's more vital to the Bucks, Holiday or Middleton? Hakeem, D-Rob, and Ewing for about 5 years. I'm glad you mentioned that. So just so you know, he only had to see David Robinson and Hakeem twice a year. That's it. It wasn't like he had to see these dudes on the regular. He only had to see them twice a year. And he only had to see Ewing. Ewing wasn't even in the division. So he had to see Ewing, what, 4 times? The rest of the centers in the league were left. Dwayne Shinches, Kevin Duckworth, Todd McCullough, Ronnie Cycli, Rick Smits, guys like that. Well, I can't help you in here, Dre. That's something pretty personal, my man. Cartwright, guys like that. And Cartwright was washed by that time. I think Dwayne Wade is a better overall player than James Harden. School Dread, you can check out my TikTok. I did a rundown of what I've done in my life professionally. You know, check out my TikTok. I think it's one of my earlier videos. Yeah, you can check it out because I was asked what I did. Luke Longley, Benoit Benjamin, Felton Spencer, guys like that. The best player I went against in college was Keith Van Horn. My favorite restaurant, Avery. Well, since I've adopted the vegan Oyster tag, I ain't even talk about Oyster tag, but since I started eating vegan, I don't eat out that much. I don't. Marcus Camby. See all of these people that you running down? Elliot, these are my top 10 players. Wilt, Jordan. Hold on, let me go back and see that. Wilt, Jordan, LeBron, Jabbar, Bird, Kobe, Magic, Russell, Duncan, Hakeem. Yep, I ain't got no problem with that. I got no problem with that at all. I don't take no problem with that. I take no issues with that list. My list is James, Jordan, Jabbar, Chamberlain, Russell, Magic, Bird, Duncan, Lajuan, Diesel. Love you too, Cam. I don't know if Will played against plumbers, man, because good shot. Out the notion that Will played against plumbers. You know, Jordan did the same thing, yo. You know, I hear people talking about Jordan played against plumbers. He was just so good that he made these guys look like that. Jordan was better than Kobe. Kobe modeled his game after Jordan, and he didn't do it better than him. In '98, yeah, that Utah team, that's correct. He got tripped. See, I don't know. I'm random. The thing that the problem that I have with that is when I only get when there's less teams, that means that the better competition, I have to see it more, as opposed to when there's more teams. That means that I don't have that. That means that the better guys, I don't have to see them nearly as much. And to answer your question of why Kobe Bryant isn't in my top 10 is because Kobe dominated. He just didn't dominate like those guys did. Kobe's right outside of my top 10. Kobe Bryant is a top 10 talent. He's not a top 10 player all time, in my opinion. Greece over Miami every day and twice on Sunday. Willis Reed or John Starks? I have been to Ireland. I used to live there. I lived in Sligo. I think Herder is he's making some noise, man. He is. He's absolutely making some noise. I like his off the ball action. I like how he gets open. I like how he plays hard on defense. I like how he knocks down open shots. What's up, Jake? How you doing, brother? Welcome to the party. What was that? Best what? Eloy, best point guard of all time, in my opinion, is Magic. Go back. People don't understand guys like Jordan, Hakeem, Bird, Magic were extremely dominant in their eras, which means by default they would be just as good and potentially better. I did live in Sligo. Yes, sir. I used to play. I played basketball in the Irish Basketball League. I had a great time in Ireland. I love Irish people. I don't like Irish people. I love Irish people. Let me tell y'all something. You think black people know how to have a good time? Hang around some Irish people. Yo, my father just died. All right, let's go get a pint. Y'all got to go to work at 8 o'clock. All right, let's go get a pint. Doesn't make a difference what it is. Let's go get a pint. Oh, Fat Lever, man. Please. Fat Lever would be awesome today. Fat Lever almost, because you guys are so high on the triple-double, Fat Lever almost averaged the triple-double twice. He was awesome. Do I think Michael Jordan goes 4-6 in LeBron's shoes? I don't think he goes 6-0. I'm not even sure that I don't even know if he stays in Cleveland with what James was doing in Cleveland. No, Eloy, you explain why you don't think. Who do you think the best point guard of all times is? I already explained why I think Magic is the best ever, and I think I know who you think the best point guard is, but I'll listen to you. Hold on, let me get back to that. I don't know, I'm random. He just said something. Do you have lots of knowledge of boxing as much as basketball also? But you just don't speak upon it because nobody ever asks you any boxing related questions. Nah, I mostly talk about basketball, but I mean I talk boxing. I'm not as fluent in boxing as I am in basketball though. I mean I know boxing and I am a fan of boxing, but I'm definitely more of a basketball guy. Thanks, Drew. I think Luka is the future face of the league. I got Stockton right behind Magic. In my opinion, of point guards all time. In my opinion, in point guards of all time, I got Stockton behind Magic. Need a game-winning block. Dikembe, Hakeem, or Mutombo. Well, it's not Shaq. Johnny Arnett's channel. My favorite NBA uniform of all time. That's a good one. I got to think about that. Lajuan, the ultimate rim protector. How do you guys know Bronny James follows me? How do you know that that's not that's somebody random that's using his name? What would you like to know? I'm random. If you have one though, what would you like to know? Hold on. Let me get back to Elliot. Elliot's got some good stuff. Have you ever been to Sweden? I'm from there. That's why my English is not good. I've never been to Sweden. I always wanted to go to Sweden too. A buddy of mine used to live in Sweden. I've never been there before. Is it? Okay. My favorite boxer of all time was Lennox Lewis. That's great news, man. Bronny James follows me. I'm pretty sure he follows a bunch of other guys, but KD was more skilled than Doc. Doc was more iconic for the game, but KD was more skilled than Doc. Who would I rather start a franchise with, Tatum or Trey? Nope, going down. Anyone in dunk in the paint? You taking Jordan, Vince, or Doc? Jordan. I think Jordan punches it over anybody. Isaiah Thomas is right behind John Stockton in my lifetime, and in my opinion. Even though I know that I mean Oscar Robertson is incredible. He went 30, 10, and 9 for 8 straight seasons. That's incredible right there. Good D. Good D. Yeah, that's a better shot. Good job, yo. Chris Paul. I think Chris Paul is a better defender. Greatest what if is Grant Hill. Greatest shooter of all time. Ray Allen is the best catch and shoot guy that I've ever seen. Steph Curry is the best off the bounce that I've ever seen. And the gap is the size of Texas when it comes to that. And when I talk about catch and shoot guys, I'm talking about Reggie Miller. I'm talking about Dale Ellis. I'm talking about Larry Bird. I'm talking about Steve Kerr, Craig Hodges, all the John Paxson, all the great long ball shooters. Ray's the best that I've ever seen. But there is no defense for a guy who can accurately shoot from 30 feet off the bounce. And Steph is the best that I've ever seen. And it's Steph, and the gap between him and everybody else is the size of Texas. I can appreciate what Dame is doing. Larry Bird is a top 5 shooter all time, no doubt about it. Kyle Korver, absolutely. Adam, from what I understand, Adam, by I think Monday or Tuesday, or by the time this thing wraps up, I'll be able to have the donations on, and you guys can do whatever it is you want to do. So they tell me I have to have a certain amount of hours before I can do that, and I'm right there. So once this thing updates, it'll be on, and you guys can do and drop whatever you want to drop. I think Luka is better than Trey just because he's bigger. That's a badge. He had to get that off though. Best player to never win a ring, Karl Malone. Thanks, Jack. I appreciate you, brother. Yeah, sure, King. You want to moderate? No doubt. Gotcha. Who's the most overrated player of all time? No, I don't think. I'm going to get back to that question, but no, sir, I don't think that Randall can be a number one. I think I put him in the same category with Isaiah Thomas in the 2016-17 season. Randall is a B player who had an A year, so I'm not going to get sucked into that. Absolutely, absolutely not. I'm not. He's dynamic, but the Knicks are one guy away from doing something serious. I think Larry Bird is a better player than KD overall. And what was I just talking about? I'm sorry. Let me get back to that. Biggest what if Brandon Roy or Penny Hardaway? Man, that's a tough one too. Because Brandon Roy he was scratching the surface of becoming great. Oh, most overrated in my opinion. Robert Ory hit a lot of big shots in the playoffs, but I mean the notion of him being the Hall of Famer, yeah, let's relax on that. Never made the All-Star team, never made the All-NBA team. He was an All-American in college. He did make the All-SEC team. Yes, he did. He did do that. Robert Ory, that's an interesting one. Larry Johnson I was a huge Larry Johnson fan when I was a kid. Larry Johnson, superb athlete. He had a great mid-range game at that size. He could rebound with the best of them. He could play on the block with the best of them. Injuries slowed him down. Yes, they did. Where does Chris rank? Where does Chris Paul rank all time if they win the ship? this may very well move him into the top 5. The best power forward of all time, in my opinion, is Tim Duncan. Especially if the Suns win the championship and Chris Paul is the Finals MVP, especially after everything he's done, this may very well move him into the top 5. Ewing was a better defensive player than Joker. Joker was a better all-around offensive player than Patrick Ewing, in my assessment. Yeah, Drew, sure. Adam, thank you. Olajuwon over Shaq. Nelly, it's crazy that you mentioned that too, man, because I was in high school. I'll never forget it for as long as I live. My buddy, it was the college basketball season that just started in the 89-90 season, and my buddy comes flying into the cafeteria and he says, yo, UNLV's going to win the national championship this year. They got a dude, he got a part in the middle of his head. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, they got a dude, he got a part in the middle of his head. He's the best player in the country. I was like, word, better than Derek Coleman? He's like, yes, better than Derek Coleman. Turns out he was right. Tim Duncan, because the reason why I say Tim Duncan over KG is because Tim Duncan, it was just sustained. It was something that it just kept going. Even though it might have been boring to you, it was something that was not going to stop. This is what you're going to see. I'm 21-10 and 2 blocks, and I'm going to be on the All-NBA team for the next 12 years. So get used to seeing me. Sustainability for me is huge. And they built that team around him. Minnesota did a terrible job building that team around KG. Awful. Rebound. Chris Paul is a better traditional point guard than Curry. Curry is a better overall shooter and scorer than Chris Paul. Chris Paul is a better defender than Steph Curry. KG is better than Dirk, in my opinion. KD or Wade. Wow, that's tough. Nice job, yo. Nice job, Drew. I love Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday is a guy who, if I was coming out of college, and I didn't do much the 2 years that I played it, but if I was coming out of college and I was going into the NBA draft, Drew Holiday would be a guy that would be my measuring stick. He'd be a guy that I'd be looking at saying, if I could survive him, I'm going to play 10, 12 years. I love Drew Holiday's game. I like DeJounte Murray. If he could stay healthy, I know he tore up his knee his first year, and I think this year he was trying to prove that he still had it. Now it's time to take the next step for him. Corey Maggette was a glue guy. Yeah, KD or D Wade. Wow, that's tough, man. Because KD doesn't play on both sides of the ball like Dwayne Wade did. So I got to go with Dwayne Wade. Nice job, Drew. Oh, I'm thinking about him right now. The slowest pace player who will give you a 30-piece. Bird. Bird wasn't dynamic athletically. Bird wasn't blowing your doors off. But you look at the box score, and it says 36. Hole is 32. AB, what's up, brother? Yeah, Ralph Sampson was somebody else too, man. He was on his way to being. His knees didn't hold up, and we were seeing him become that. Luka too. Luka ain't the greatest athlete, but I already talked about this with Bird and the best trash talker. I already told you guys. Julius Erving was the consummate professional. Everything about Doc was class. He punched Larry Bird in the face. I'm trying to think of what Larry Bird could have possibly said to him to make Doc punch him in the face. What I equated it to was LeBron James punching Luka in the face. I mean, James is class. James isn't that kind of guy. For James to haul up and punch Luka in the face, you'd be like, what just happened here? What did I miss? Thanks, Ronald. I appreciate it, brother. Hopefully I can continue to give you hopefully I can continue to entertain you. Harden is an all-time shooting guard. Yes, he is. Mega Balls, to give you a quick synopsis. To give you a quick good shot, yo. Nope. Yeah, to summarize this really quick for you with Len Bias. Len Bias was the guy who, if you were a GM, you would ask. Nope. You would ask, what do you want for that pick? Because I'm building my team around him. I mean, Larry Bird said in '88 he would have retired had Lenny lived. He would have retired. What's the biggest what-if shot? The biggest what-if shot is Robert Horry missing that go-ahead three in Game 5 against San Antonio in 03 in the Western Conference semis. If he makes that, the Lakers go back to Los Angeles up 3-2, and I think they bounced them. And now that's the third straight year they beat San Antonio. We're not talking about Tim Duncan the way we're talking about him. Number one, I don't think Kobe and Shaq break up. I don't think Kobe and Shaq break up. I think that was monumental for what they were. KD on Golden State is an elite defender. Your thoughts? No, he wasn't an elite defender. He didn't make the all-league defensive team. He wasn't in the top 5 in the league in blocks. He wasn't in the top 5 in the league in steals. He wasn't. When you say elite defender, can you elaborate on elite defender? Alex, who is Keldon Johnson? I'm sorry, I'm behind. The only reason why I'm going with Leonard over Scottie Pippen is because of what he did in the postseason. Bron and Wade. Vash, what's up, brother? Which era of finals did I like the most? KD over T-Mac. Which era of finals did I like the most? Well, I can't really say the 90s because when the Bulls was in the finals, I already knew who was going to win, so it wasn't really that dramatic. Even though in '98 I thought that the Jazz could beat them. But it wasn't really that dramatic in the 90s because, whenever the Bulls was in the finals, I knew who was going to win. In the 80s, when the Celtics were going up against the Lakers, that was pretty dramatic because I wasn't sure. In '84, I thought the Lakers could beat them. In '85, it was huge because you get a rematch. And then in '87, they're going against quite possibly the greatest team ever against the defending champion Celtics. So, what's up, Quinn? Maybe the '80s? And in the 2000s, it really wasn't that dramatic neither because, I knew that whoever the Lakers was playing, I thought they was going to beat them. I was surprised when they lost to Detroit. I was flabbergasted by that. What do I think of Lonzo Ball? I think Lonzo Ball is going to play 12 to 15 years. I think he's going to be an all NBA guard at some point. I think he's going to be an all-star. And I love the way he's expanded his game. I love the fact that he's improved the three ball. He's a solid defender. I think he can be an all-league defender, in fact. I love Lonzo. He'd be perfect on the Knicks. Best college player of all time is Jabbar. He couldn't play as a freshman. Played his sophomore, junior, senior year. Won the national championship 3 straight years. He was player of the year 3 straight years. He was MVP of the Final Four 3 straight years. That's not your opinion. That's a fact, by the way. Let me make sure I read that right. If Kobe and Shaq stayed together, it would have hurt. We wouldn't be talking about Kobe the way we're talking about him. Or maybe we would have. And maybe we would have in the aspect that Kobe, Shaq, if Shaq decides that I'm going to be the number 2 and I'm going to let this dude run it, which he should have. He's actually said that. If he would have stepped aside and let Kobe be the guy, we may very well have been talking about Kobe like we talk about him today. And they would be doing what they were doing. More. Top 5 Celtics of all times. Russell, Bird, Sam Jones, Kevin McHale. I can't say Paul Pierce. Is Paul Pierce a top 5 Celtic all time? Nolan, what's going on, brother? Not much. I'm running good, man. My favorite point guard to watch was Magic. Is Pierce a top 5 Celtic all time? Russell, Bird, McHale, Sam Jones. No, it's not Garnett. Garnett is not a top 5 Celtic all time. Is he, Ahmad? He is the all-time leading scorer. Was he better than Havlicek? I think he was better than Havlicek. So, yeah, Russell. He was better than Kuzi, I think. Even though Kuzi was like 19 a game, and I know that here we go with he was playing against plumbers and all of that nonsense. But yeah, I think he was better than Kuzi. Paul Pierce spent most of his career with the Celtics. Dennis Johnson played with the Celtics for what, 6 seasons, 7 seasons? My favorite LeBron game of all time? That 45-15 game up in Boston in Game 6 of the East Finals in 12. That was a statement game. Bird over Kobe. Russell over Hakeem. I'm a 49er fan, spiritual dub. Bird over Kobe. Russell over Hakeem. Hakeem is my favorite. Yes, I said that right, Vash. Bird over Kobe. I do think Melo's a top 10 scorer of all time. That's what I was thinking, Jaden. But I'm thinking to myself, I think Havlicek, I'm having a tough time with that. Yeah, I got Russell over Hakeem. Worst MVP season of all times. That's that honor goes to Wes Unseld. in the 68-69 season. He went 13-18. He was a rookie. He led the league in rebounding. Was the fifth leading scorer on his team. 13-18. That's Andre Drummond. Tony Parker got caught in that era of point guards, of the athletic point guards, and nobody really talks about him as much as they should. People don't talk about him nearly as much as they should. You know, Tony Parker was the catalyst for that San Antonio team. They're not winning those without him. They're not. Anthony Davis over Cousins. Cousins couldn't hold up. Best coach in the NBA right now, I think it's Monty Williams. I do think it's Monty Williams, and Spoelstra is right next to him, followed by Nick Nurse. Curry or Durant all time. Everybody knows, anybody that isn't aware, when Kevin Durant got on that Warriors team, even though they won it before Kevin Durant got there, everybody knows when Kevin Durant got there, he was the best player on that team. I think Ginobili was in the best situation in terms of a six man, which made him the best six man. I think Jamal Crawford is a better player. Magic over Curry. Best power forward all time, Tim Duncan. Absolutely, guys. This is great, man. I am going to watch Space Jam 2. I can't watch one without watching 2. You have to watch 2. Would you say Bird over Kobe if Kobe was a better defender? Kobe was a better defender. Bird was a better overall player because Bird was a defender. Just because he wasn't as good a defender doesn't mean he wasn't a better overall player. Bird was more efficient than Kobe. Bird was a better playmaker than Kobe. Bird was a better rebounder than Kobe. Bird was a better passer than Kobe. Bird did make the All-League defensive team 3 times. So he was a solid defender. Who's my top 10, Ray? James, Jordan, Jabbar, Chamberlain, Russell, Magic, Bird, Duncan, Dream, Diesel. Who was better in the 2? Spo. I'm sorry, Pop. Pop was a better coach than Spo. Even though Spo beat him in 2013 and Pop beat him in 2014, Pop did more in the 2000s. Best center of all time. In my opinion, it's Jabbar. Wilt's numbers are cartoonish. They just are. And just so you guys know, when I say James, Jordan, Jabbar, that could go Jordan, James, Jabbar. That could go Jordan, Jabbar, James. That could go Jabbar, James, Jordan. Those 3 are interchangeable. I put Jordan over James. I put James over Jordan. because he is the most complete basketball player that I have ever seen. Jordan was a complete basketball player, but James is the most complete basketball player that I have ever seen. Hakeem over Shaq. Shaq way better than Tim Duncan. Sean, you serious? Shaq, 3-time All-League defender. Tim Duncan, 15. Tim Duncan won the league MVP twice when Shaq was in his prime. I will tell you this, though, and I've said this before, and I stand by it. If Shaq and Kobe had been able to hold it together, I don't think we'd be talking about Tim Duncan the way we talk about him, because he was on his way, exactly like Doc, exactly like Patrick Ewing, exactly like Karl Malone, Gary Payton, and Clyde Drexler were. He was on his way to getting caught in the Shaq and Kobe era. Just so y'all know, the Lakers beat the Spurs 3 times in 4 years. What's up, Brendan? How you doing, brother? When did Shaq get robbed of an MVP? You think it was the 04-05 season when Steve Nash won it? I don't have a favorite team in the league. I have favorite players because these guys bounce around so much, man. Let's talk about it, Haas. Sure. I think that Russell wasn't a primary offensive player, but Russell was the best at his job. That wasn't his game. Russell didn't shoot a high percentage. Russell averaged, I think that his career high was the year he won the league MVP. I think in 62, he was 18 and 23. That was his career high in terms of points. But Russell had the benefit of being on great teams, so he didn't have to score. That was Sam Jones. That was Havlicek. That was those guys. So Russell did what he did, and he did it as best as he could. I don't think he was better than Chamberlain, but he did average 22 boards for his career. C. Webb is not a top 5 power forward all time. Duncan, Malone, KG, Barkley, Dirk / McHale. C. Webb wasn't better than none of them. No, I don't think Drew Lock is the future of the Broncos. In fact, I think Deshaun Watson is the future of the Broncos. As soon as all of this nonsense is over, he getting out of there. Westbrook over Oscar? No, I don't think so. My favorite player ever? I mean, there's a difference between your favorite and the best. My favorite player happens to be the best player ever. The best player ever, in my opinion, in my lifetime, is LeBron James. My favorite player was Jordan. Giannis. I think we talk about these guys, like Bob Cousy. They're like an Apple desktop. Like that it's obsolete. You could take the desktop and improve it, but if you bring the desktop into today's technology era, it's obsolete. So Bob Cousy's game in today's era doesn't work. His skill level would have to improve. He couldn't come into the league today and play the way he played. What's the most unstoppable move in basketball history? Skyhook. That's all Jabbar had. Stop this and you stop me. He played 20 years. All-time leading scorer in NBA history. And it wasn't a mystery of where he was going with it. He was going over the left shoulder. And it was money. Milwaukee up 4. Who was the worst player to ever win a ring? Good shot, yo. Afro Kareem. Ball Kareem was still nice. He was still making an all-league defensive team. He was still making an all-NBA team. But Afro Kareem was just, he was hell. The greatest coach ever. Phil Jackson wasn't really a coach more than he was a manager. And that's who Phil was. Tex Winters was the X and O guy. Yes, Joel, I do. I like to work out. I like to cook. I like to travel. My favorite movie of all time. I'm an action and comedies guy. The Negotiator is with Samuel L. Jackson. Probably my favorite movie of all time. Love Danny Roman. Sean Kemp. If Sean Kemp was playing today, I think Sean Kemp would eat John Collins' lunch. Hey, Obi, I'm 6'3". I don't play as much as I used to, Adam. Nah. I've seen Coach Carter. Coach Carter's a great movie. Melo was more skilled than Dominique. Dominique was a better athlete. And Michael Redd had a flamer. But Middleton was better on both sides of the ball. I think Gary Payton could handle Steph Curry. But what you guys got to understand, man, is it's very difficult to stop anybody in the NBA, especially when these guys get going. So it's more of a, can we slow them down? Kyle Lowry's going to the Hall of Fame. And a lot of people don't want to hear that, but he's got better numbers than Tim Hardaway. He's got better numbers than Maurice Cheeks. He was very good on both sides of the ball. He wasn't a great long ball shooter, and he won the NBA championship. Kyle Lowry's going to the Hall of Fame. And not only that, he was solid at Villanova. I think he started there 2 years, 3 years. What's up, Josh? How you running, brother? What a biggest what if defensive shot? I don't know what that means. Well, you got to remember that Jabbar, they won the NBA championship in his second year. Giannis got to win it, and it got to be because of him. Even if he's playing with great players, it's still got to be because of him. Let me see your small forward list. James, Bird, Durant, Carmelo, Pippen, Irvin, Baylor, English, Pierce, Leonard. I can give it that. I think Leonard is. I'm taking Carmelo out of that top 5 because Carmelo is a top 5 scorer. Leonard played on both sides of the ball. Other than that, I'm good with that list. Yeah. Just so you know, if Giannis was playing in this series would have been over in 5 games. And it looks like Atlanta's starting to run out of gas. That's what it looked like. The 96 Bulls. That would be a great series. But I gotta ask you, Ronak, when are we playing this? Are we playing it in 17 or are we playing it in 96? Good shot, yo. Milwaukee's starting to pull away. When are we playing this? And the reason why I'm asking you is because the rules are different. So I'm trying to imagine, and Middleton is not Middleton. I'm sorry, Milwaukee is starting to pull away. This thing is getting out of hand. Anyway, I'd like for you to imagine Klay Thompson not being able to put hands on Michael Jordan. Now he got to deal with Michael Jordan, but he can't put hands on him. Like Ron Harper can't put hands on Steph Curry. Steph Curry can't put hands on Ron Harper. You think the Suns sweep them? I don't know if they sweep them. My favorite NFL player of all time is Walter Payton. Pat Bev is better than Magic. I think Trey is a top 10 point guard. Absolutely. He's right outside the top 5, in my opinion. Right outside the top. He might be in the top 5. Yeah, Nice shot. Nice shot, yo. Middleton is going off here. Nice job, my man. Nice job. Rebound. Nope. Rebound. Good shot. Good shot, Cam. Bam. Nice shot, yo. See that action and how they moving the ball, and Atlanta's not able to, when they double team in Middleton that far away from the basket, their defense is spread out. And because their defense is spread out, they can't cover ground as much. Nice job, yo. Nice. Nope. Oh, good shot. What is this shooting threes nonsense? That's a good shot, but why are you getting sucked into what they're doing? That's what these guys are doing, shooting the long ball. What worked in game 5? You got to get Brook Lopez closer to the basket. He shot 6 shots. Let's stick to what we're doing. Let's stick to what works. Good shot, y'all. So listen, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. It was great to see you guys. It was great to talk to you. If I don't see you tomorrow, I'll definitely see you Monday. I'll definitely see you Monday night, and we'll talk. If I probably won't see you tomorrow night, but I'll definitely see you Monday, and we'll talk again Monday night, and we'll talk about the finals. So it's good to talk to you guys. Let's do it again, man. Great to see you guys. I'll hit you soon.